Hi, this is Justin Paez, and we are part of a group for homework 8 for part A, the PowerPoint, and working in Tableau. And Megan will start us off.
Okay, so with this visualization, it is showing the employees with the greatest P card activity. So these are going to be your top 20 employees that had the most spending dollar wise. And then it also shows the number of transactions that each employee had. So for example, for Messiah, he spent $423,215.60 and had about 1,250-ish transactions. And then that's how it is for everyone else. A risk that could be done through this is that if the employees are spending too much, you might have some really high transactions. So for example, for Paul Harvey, he is spending 832,000, but only has a little bit over 600 transactions. So that could kind of be a risk that you do have a lot of transactions that are high value, or just people are spending a lot and just putting it on like lower amounts and lower transactions, but a higher number of them. A control would be to have someone go and like look at the spending and like make sure that there's not all like one person doesn't have a bunch of high transactions or someone doesn't have a bunch of low ones, and make sure that there is nothing suspicious or anything when they run the report of people spending. And then with this diagram, it's showing the transactions with the unapproved vendors. So it is a pie chart. So all the colors respond to one vendor. These are the only ones that were unapproved, and there's a 30 total transactions with them. And then the numbers around each side kind of tell you how many transactions per vendor.
Yes, thank you, Megan. So to kind of dig deeper into interpreting the pie chart for the unapproved vendors, it's important to point out that the KRJB restaurant supply had almost half of the or was half of the transactions that were made with as an unapproved vendor, and a serious risk that comes in these situations is what if you have an employee who decides to create their own vendor that's, unapproved and kind of unchecked, and they could be sending these transactions right to their own bank account, which could cause it's massive fraud. And a control of this is just kind of have more positions kind of able to authorize these types of transactions, and create a system where we can, if you're talking to unapproved vendors and having transactions with them, there should be ways for it to be checked and not, kind of put through without notice. And then, with these top vendors who have been a part of being involved in unapproved transactions like this, it could cause fraud, and it would be a major risk. Moving to visualization 3, it's a stretch of screenshots that I have here to kind of be a part of the transaction limits question of the prompts. And at the top, very top right, as you can see, I have the count of the single transaction limits of which employees have that ability and have that limit on their user activity cards. And so we have the number there. And then moving to sheet 2, you can see the chart has a count of, employees if they exceeded their single transaction limit, and it's a count of the number of times they've done so. And then sheet 3 has the dollar amounts for a certain month per an employee if they exceeded the $10,000 limit, which is the monthly limit for employees. And just taking all of it in, a risk of this is kind of similar to the first situation where you have kind of overspending and just kind of an unwarranted amount of money. And if they, exceed their limit and nobody's checking them, it kind of creates a scenario where, employees won't think there's punishments or any sort of pushback on it. And so that's a major risk, and it could result in theft of cash and just theft of property and stuff like that. And so a major control we could have is having, a higher up position than some of these employees be able to, authorize a certain purchase. And if they get to look at it and see that it's over the amount, then hey, there's something wrong and it shouldn't be allowed through. You could also look at maybe a periodical basis of a certain, AIS IT person checking to see if the numbers are over 10,000. And same for the single transaction limit as well.